and humidity for your collections assessment. So in this, I want to remind you that you had a section that we sort of skipped over on Wednesday, and that's in Running a Museum Practical Handbook here. This section, Museum Temperature and Humidity Guidelines, on page 79. I want you to start reading there. It's very, very short, but it'll give you the context for what you're looking for here. Okay. In this section, this is going to give you the history of the guidelines and the context for new ideas in temperature and humidity. I want you to also look for the most likely responsible agents of deterioration for artifacts that are found in poor condition. Somewhere over here. Okay, once you've gone through this section, then I want you to go ahead and go back to here, and then I want you to read this section called Temperature and Relative Humidity from the American Museum of Natural History. So when this opens up, you're going to be reading a few different pieces from this site. Aha, great. So this site, this part of this website is just about temperature and relative humidity. This is where you're going to get the specific details for natural history collections. I want you to know what to watch out for in each collection type. So they're going to go through general information, and then they're going to go specifically into invertebrates and vertebrates and paleontological collections and geological. So I would suggest that you make yourself a chart with collection type and put, high temperature and low temperature and high humidity and low humidity, and then write out for yourself what is the problem that it causes in each of those types of collections. And I want you to be ready then to apply this to your own collection. You'll be getting temperature and humidity readouts for your collection, and you want to know if those readouts are out of range for your collection and what that means, what types of problems you should be looking for if that has occurred. Okay, so starting up here, why are natural history specimens prone to damage from fluctuations in temperature and humidity? This is really broad scale kind of stuff, okay? Note the composition of the specimens and how that makes them more susceptible. We keep reading, and they talk about the risks for high and low temperatures. This is very broad kind of stuff. We're going to go in then and think about humidity, right? So moving down the page, humidity. Why are organic artifacts, that means our specimens, why are they sensitive to humidity? What is the percent goal for humidity overall, right? What is that percentage? And then what is a range to aim for, since it's very hard to hit one exact number and maintain that. They're going to talk about strategies for controlling humidity. Think about what those are. They're going to have different levels of control. Find those in your collection. Look and see, what are we using? How effective are those different types of control? Okay. We'll keep scrolling down. Now we're going to go into knowing the conditions of your collection. This is where it says you need to be collecting data on your collections. Excellent. We have been collecting data for you. You'll get charts of humidity and temperature for your collections. Then it's going to go into collection specific, right? So you have hopefully gotten an idea of the broad concerns for natural history collections with respect to temperature and humidity. Now we're going to talk just about invertebrate zoology collections. Now, none of you are working in the invert collection. We are focusing on the vertebrate right now. That doesn't mean you don't have to know this stuff. I still want you to know this. And also, we're talking just fluid preserved specimens. This is going to be true for vertebrate fluid preserved specimens as well, and you may have those in your collection, so you need to pay attention to that. So here they talk about high and low temperature fluctuations. How does that affect fluid specimens? What's an ideal temperature for fluid specimens? Okay, they're going to talk about something called Bind's disease, and I want you to know this. This is an important thing to know. What kind of specimens are affected by it, what kinds of conditions promote it, and what exactly is Bind's disease? Okay, now we're going to move down to vertebrate zoology collections. I just want to point out, just general kind of stuff about how to, what are the concerns for different temperature and humidity levels. They have this, for more on preserving collections, click here. These links don't work, so don't worry about that. I'm not going to expect that you know more than what's on here, really. Then they have a section on paleo collections. Read that, know the specific concerns for paleontological collections. They are different than the biological collections. What are the concerns? Okay, and that's more or less what's here. I'm not going to require that you know pyrite disease, although go ahead and click and look, because that's really an interesting issue, and that is a type of specimen that will be in natural history museums, but we're going to limit it for now. Okay, so that's relative temperature and humidity. Those are basically your background materials, and then you know that you're going in and assessing your collection. So what kinds of questions are you answering? So here's your Appendix D, and we're under Section 5, Climate Control and Relative Humidity, or Climate Control and Environment, so Section A, Temperature and Relative Humidity. You're going to want to give a little background. What kinds of conditions should you be trying to maintain in your type of collection? Are they achievable? As in, take a look at the data that you see for your collection. Have they been achieved? And don't worry so much about what kinds of goals we've set. You're just going to use the information that you have. And a lot of this section here, we have central HVAC. A lot of this is a little too technical for us. I do want you to take a look and see, do we have supplemental systems for controlling humidity, for instance, in your collection? Look for dehumidifiers. We also have, a question, are we opening up doors and windows for ventilation? Think about that. For the most part, this section, I just really want you to talk about what conditions should we be trying to achieve, and are we achieving them. You'll then take a chance to look for evidence. Say your collection shows really high humidity and you're concerned about mold then in your collection. Go ahead and look, see if you find evidence of mold. Really work with that data, and if it's a time when you think that we're having very low humidity, what does that put your collection at risk for? And see if you can find evidence of that type of damage. This is really the part where you kind of get creative and really start digging into your collection to really evaluate it. Okay, that's temperature and relative humidity.